Hi! Welcome to another episode of P&J. Today, me and Julieta are going to talk to you about a topic that has been going on for a while, but people don't talk about it anymore or don't know that it's happening, and it is the exploitation of resources in Sierra Leone, specifically diamonds. But before anything, we're going to give you some background on the country and its generalities. So this is Sierra Leone's flag. And Sierra Leone is located in West Africa, in Western Africa. It borders with Liberia, the Atlantic Ocean, and Guinea. Its location is very important because its capital is located in the coast, so it's susceptible for trade and fishing.
Hi, my name is Julieta, and I'm going to talk about the history of Sierra Leone. Okay. First of all, the Portuguese in 1460 named this country Sierra Leone, and after many years, in 1821, Sierra Leone merged with the Gambia and the Gold Coast to create the British West African territories. And for the next 50 years, the British Navy landed approximately 17,000 slaves in Freetown. Freetown is the capital of Sierra Leone. And until 1961, this country declared its independence, and from 1991 to 2002, there was a civil war. And for all these events, I wanted to see how it is life in this country.
These boys survive on occasional jobs washing dishes. They live and sleep on the streets of Freetown. 12-year-old Abdul Samko says they're suffering because there's no food. They're subjected to disease, and police and older people take advantage of them. His mother is dead, his father back in the village. Abu Bakar Jallo, also 12, points out he is shoeless and shirtless. He says he's been on the streets for 9 years since being separated from his family. Children like these who work or beg on the streets are all too easy to find.
Okay, so you could see that the situation in this country is very difficult because, for example, life expectancy for men is 28 years and for women is 29, and compared to Mexico, here the man lives 72 years and women 78. That's a big difference. And the population in Sierra Leone is 6.1 million. Okay, language, the principal language, the official language is English, but they also talk a range of African and Creole. And Creole is a language that is derived from English. Also, the major religions are Islam and Christianity. Okay, so next Patty is going to explain the economic situation of this country.
Now I am going to talk to you about the economical context of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is considered to be a poor country. Its GDP per capita is of $594, and its total GDP is of $3.9 billion, and it's divided in the following. 62% comes from imports and exports, 12.2% comes from FDI, foreign direct investment, which is the money that other countries invest in Sierra Leone, and finally from remittances and inflows, that is the 2.48% of the GDP. This country has fishing, mining, and agriculture as its main economical activities. Also, China is increasingly present as an investor, wanting to build a new airport, a hospital, and hydraulic dam for $1.2 billion. Sierra Leone is also attractive for Turkish investors who want to build a new dock for $120 million. And finally, the Sierra Diamond Group, which is based in the US, wants to build a new mining complex for $25 million. And these are its main investors: China, Belgium, Germany, and the US.
Okay, so one of the biggest problems that this country has is the blood diamonds conflict, because although diamonds conflict is not on the radar, they are still a worry. The problem is that a large number of diamonds are tamed by violence, human rights abuse, and environmental degradation. And the worst is that all the money that they get from those diamonds is not reaching the public and it has not benefited anyone in the communities. And all of this is thanks to the enterprises. So Patty and me propose a public policy.
Well, thank you, Julieta, for explaining us the problem in Sierra Leone. Now, after talking about it, we came up with this public policy proposal, and it's sort of like a solution to the problem. We called it SLDPP, Sierra Leone's Diamonds Policy Proposal. So, with this, we wanted to make a solution, and these are our ideas that can improve the problem. First, enterprises must hire native people only. It doesn't matter if your enterprise comes from London, China, the US, you have to hire people from Sierra Leone only. For example, to do the mining or the agriculture or the fishing, only native people can do that. Also, not hiring underage people. We've seen a lot of kids working and being exploited, and that's a violation against human rights. So that's also part of the policy. The next one is, depending where the enterprise that is investing on Sierra Leone comes from, the minimum wage that is established in their country is the amount they have to pay to the workers in Sierra Leone. So let's say your enterprise is from London and they pay you £20 for the minimum wage. That is the wage that you have to pay the people in Sierra Leone. Because in Sierra Leone, the minimum wage is 10 pesos, which is not even $1, so it's very, very little. And it doesn't matter if enterprises come from China or the US to build hospitals and airports. It doesn't matter if people cannot use them and cannot benefit from them. So that's one of our solutions. Next, people can work up to 8 hours, but if extra hours are worked, they have to be paid as well. We don't want people working and not being paid. Next, 4% of the profits of the enterprise from the investing must go to the government in Sierra Leone. So the government can improve roads, buildings, public services, etc. And finally, if these policies are violated, the enterprise that violates them cannot invest in Sierra Leone again.
The improvements. Nowadays in Sierra Leone, 60% of women and 45% of men are unemployment. Also, 70.2% of the population lives below the poverty line. And with the Sierra Leone Diamond Protection Policy, we calculate that this policy will provide more and better jobs. And unemployment will be reduced to 56% for women and 40% for men. Also, the percentage of population that live below the line of poverty will be reduced to 66.5%. And of course, we will guarantee that human rights are not violated.
So, after the data that Julieta gave us, who will benefit from this policy? When we made this policy, we were thinking in balancing. While enterprises have billions and billions of dollars, these people have nothing. So, basically, the people from Sierra Leone, the population, is going to benefit from it with more employment and therefore more money. And also, of course, the government, who's going to have the 4% of the investment to invest and try to develop their country with, roads, public services, etc., trying to make it better. And finally, who are the main actors? So basically, there are three. The MNCs, which are all the enterprises that are going to invest or that are investing right now in Sierra Leone. The population, all the people that are going to work in these enterprises. And finally, the government, who is going to be in charge of applying this policy proposal. So, thank you for watching. See you next week. Leave in the comments down below what you want us to talk about. Thank you!
Okay, so that was all for today. Thanks for watching us. See you next week.